election of President Barack Obama. He called us to service, as there remains much work to do to end unemployment, poverty, and crime in our communities. There's so many books on how we can accomplish this. But this year, everyone's raving about this summer's hottest new book, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America by Chicago's own Emmanuel Barbee. A graduate of Northeastern Illinois University, Barbee addresses key ways we back our families and communities. But unlike so many other books on this topic, Barbee captivates his reader, presenting solutions through a riveting life story. It's entertaining, it's different, it's exciting. The perfect book club selection. Don't be left out. Get your copy of The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America. Order today at Amazon.com.
Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbee. If you are new to this YouTube channel, then please subscribe so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video. I use YouTube and Facebook live stream to broadcast my podcast. If you don't understand English, I provide a written transcript in the group with the same name as the show. I also cite all of my sources under Show and Proofs section on the transcript. I also post the transcript on my live journal page. You can find all of my pages under the About section on my YouTube channel. First, I would like to give special shout out to our contributors, Evangelist Stephanie O'Neill, Missionary Savannah Rush, and Evangelist Martha Mumba. I use this platform to interact with everyone on my friends list and everyone in my social groups by giving Black business owners free airtime to promote their products and services. I give people in the faith community an opportunity to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, and ordinary law-abiding citizens an opportunity to share their special talents and skills to my listeners from the podcast community. After the show, I offer my guest speakers an incentive by teaching them how to create their own podcast and YouTube channel to help them earn extra revenue. I also assist people on my friends list with creating basic websites, finding college scholarships and grants, housing and legal services, all for free. I will be hosting my online talk show every Thursday until I'm able to raise $500,000 for my film project, Hood Liberator, made in Chicago. The war against Willie Lynch begins. We are sincerely grateful to all our supporters, no matter how big or small the donations are. I am encouraging everyone on my friends list and everyone in my social groups to please purchase my ebook on Amazon. It's available for $9.99. I only want to hear from those of you who agree with my vision and is willing to work with me and Sister Renee in turning my vision into reality. The Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago will be in the business of creating docudramas, short films, theater, photography, fine arts, music, poetry, literature, sculptures, and dance for inner city youth. Once this virus is cleaned up, we plan on hosting African tours in order for us to move from behind a computer and make real connections with our global Black family on the continent, starting with South Africa. So I need my South African friends to please share my information with all your friends that's on the continent, as well as those that's in the diaspora, Europe, Canada, and especially in America. And the ones that's in America, just encourage them to Send me a friend request. Tell them to also include their email address so that way I can send them all my information. They can read through my information and connect with me, and we could just see how it goes from there. Consider becoming a monthly contributor to our Patreon page or PayPal page. We are excited to partner with Teesprings. On there we have a virtual store, GRCAM merchandise such as COVID face masks, coffee mugs, posters, handbag, and t-shirts. All proceeds will go towards our film project. You can advertise your books, business on our platform. This podcast is an extension of the grassroots community activist movement. I created GRCAM because I got tired of all of the division among black people. Pan-Africanism was not working for black Americans. I wanted to start a new movement for black people to unite us based on individuals who care about solving black issues, as well as solving African issues. I created GRCAM in 1991 on a site called Gopher. I wanted to create an organization that focused specifically on solving black issues in America. I wanted to connect with other like-minded African Americans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Canadians, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Europeans, African immigrants, Afro-Latinos throughout the diaspora. I also wanted to build a bridge between the diaspora and continental Africans. This is a podcast where we talk about solving black issues / African issues using a spiritual perspective as it pertains to the great awakening of our people that has been prophesied. I would like to encourage at least 10 people on my friends list or 10 people in my social groups to consider co-hosting the show with me during GRCAM 29th anniversary on November 10th, 2020. If you are serious, then please send me your email address to my Facebook inbox. I prefer that we do a mock podcast near the last week of October. I understand many of you have families and are working 2 and 3 jobs to earn ends meet. If you are unable to participate, no worries. Then please listen to this podcast, leave a comment, good or bad, and share this podcast with all of your friends. This will help get the ball rolling. If Thursday evenings are not good for you, then make arrangements with me to come on the show on another day, and we can do the show one-on-one. Instructions on how to participate. First, watch my Facebook Live video called Side A. After I finish with my presentation, then I will open up the virtual phone lines. Just click on the phone icon to interact with me in real time through Facebook Messenger as a voice call for a Q&A. This will be called Side B. The reason why the time range from 8 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Central Time is to give my international friends an opportunity for them to participate on this show as well. Tonight's topic, foreign powers profiteering from Africa's natural resources and what the global black family can do about it. Now, technically I had 7 videos, but since, time is kind of short right now, I'm only going to focus on 6 videos, so that way I don't just be doing all the talking, and that's my way of, kind of proving, my points. But here we go. The grassroots community activist movement is calling for global black unity. We're in a state of an emergency. GRCAM is taking the lead in the global awakening of black and African people. The purpose of my weekly podcast is to mobilize black people and Africans who are on my friends list and in my social groups. I need your help to expose my vision for transformation in Black America, Africa, the Caribbean, and Brazil. The grassroots community activist movement was created to raise awareness through our podcasts, to recruit like-minded and brave and smart Black people, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Latinos, African immigrants, and continental Africans who have the talent and skills to help transform our community and cities on a domestic front and on a international front. My goal is to turn GRCAM into a real Christian business known as GRCI, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute, starting in Chicago. You don't have to be a Christian to be part of GRCAM. All of my social groups, both Christian and secular, represent the grassroots community activist movement. And I'm going to run my Christian business the same way that I run my online groups. I'm going to treat people with respect, make sure that everybody is benefiting, and making sure that we are on code and in agreement. That's why I'm screening people. That's why I want to make sure I have qualified people that know what they're doing. I want professionals that's going to help me run this organization. Our focus is on solving Black issues / African issues. Africa is the richest continent on the planet, and yet it is home to the poorest people on earth. What is wrong with this picture? I wrote in my revised book, The Answer, why Africa is in the condition that she is in. Unfortunately, a lot of our people don't like to read, and they are becoming a liability to the global Black family because of the way they think. We now live in a time of exposure thanks to the information age / internet. We have noticed that since the 400-year mark that took place in 2019, we have seen an acceleration of exposure in America. I will play a few videos about why Africa is in the condition she is and what continental Africans and the diaspora must do in order to solve, these problems. One of the things we must do is we must unify before we lose our God-given continent to foreign powers. So I found this video about a white professor who explains why Africa is targeted by foreign powers from the East and the West.
Africa has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries. Okay? And Africa had a role to play. It has a role as a raw material producer. We will not allow Sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep Sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital to the prosperity of everyone else. So let's get clear about that. Okay, and this means all the economic structures, all the global institutions, and the economics we teach everyone is all designed to keep Africa exactly where it is. And whether it is Europe or US or now China, it's always the same. We need Africa to be impoverished because we need those raw materials and we need them dirt cheap. Okay, so that's the message. It doesn't mean to say that there's nothing Africans can do. Of course there is. Okay, but this is the opposition that they're fighting. This is what it's about. Because if Africa does do something different, I assure you living standards of all those in Europe and North America and Asia is going to fall. Okay? And that is a big price to pay. I assure you that the West is not going to allow that without a big fight. Okay, so this is what it's fundamentally about. What I want to show you is how these structures are operating. It's just 20 minutes, so we can't do very much, but just to give you a little bit of an idea. And why I keep the ideology part there is because we are part of the producers of ideology. at universities and academic institutions, we are complicit in this whole enterprise. Okay, so the job of many Western academics is to convince Africans they have to keep doing what they're doing. Okay, and to show them it's your fault that you're poor. It's not our fault. It's your fault that you're poor. You know, so this is what we do in academic institutions, and I want to show that as well. And to start, this is what it's basically about, so you know what it's about. But I want to just show you the extent to which Africa is specializing in the production of raw materials and basic agricultural goods. We know the basic forces that have caused this underdevelopment. We know it's colonization. I will not discuss that very much because my colleague speaker is going to go into some aspects of this. But I do want to discuss the global economic structures, the global financial institutions, and economic ideology, briefly, to give you a flavor of those. Let me start with this. You can't really see it so easily, but if those of you who are interested, you want the PowerPoint, I'm sure we can make it available to you. But the thing that you really need to see is the top line. Okay? And the extent of dependency is captured by this statistic at the top. Okay? And you compare it with all other income groups. And what you see is essentially in that one statistic how dependent Sub-Saharan Africa is on raw material production. Okay? This is the very heart of what makes Sub-Saharan Africa beat. Okay? Here, just to have a look at one very important additional statistic, with all this export coming from Sub-Saharan Africa, how much does Sub-Saharan Africa account for in terms of global trade value? We know there are vast resources coming from there, but look at the bottom line in terms of global trade value. Look at that. 0.5%, 1975, 0.95%, going down to 0.1. Meaning that with all these vast resources being produced, how much are they getting for it? Nothing. This is a very significant piece of data. Then I just want to show you what has happened to Sub-Saharan Africa, because what we know, and from all studies, no country ever develops without manufacturing. Okay, producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agricultural goods will not take you anywhere. And let's have a look at how much manufacturing activity takes place in Sub-Saharan Africa. We can look over the last 15 odd years, 15, 20 years. And we see manufacturing has actually declined as a percentage of the total. This is percentages of total production in Sub-Saharan Africa. How much of it is accounted for by manufacturing? So this figure here is 17% of the total. Most of the rest, when we talk of industry, it includes manufacturing, but the bulk of it is mining. Okay? Raw material extraction. This is the bulk of it. And here we see actually raw material extraction has stayed the same. What has caused industry to fall is the fall in manufacturing production. This is deliberate because we will never, as Western economists, as Western policymakers, we cannot afford to allow Africa to industrialize and start producing manufacturers. Okay, so we will do everything to stop that. And I'm going to show you how we actually block that.
Okay, now let's analyze what he has said. They need the raw materials from the continent. Our whole standard of living in America, in Asia, and Europe depends on Africa's natural resources, while the majority of Africans are impoverished. This guy goes on to explain why Africa is not allowed to create an industrial revolution and why the financial elites don't want Africa to produce anything. He mentioned that the financial elites have condemned Africa to a life of poverty, and they only view Africa as a resource colony. He mentioned that the West have been doing this debt trap loans way before China came along. We as black people and African people have to pay close attention to what these financial elites have done so that it does not continue to the next generation. I don't understand why a majority of Africans are not like Julius Malema or Professor P.L.O. Labuma. These are the real African leaders that continental Africans should follow. The financial elite's goal is to keep Africa in a perpetual impoverished state. In contrast, the financial elite's goal is to keep black Americans as a third and fourth class citizens in the United States. I notice when we start talking about repatriation back to Africa, all of a sudden groups like ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves, and FBA, Foundational Black Americans, start diaspora beefing. If black Americans would listen and work with me in turning my vision into a reality, then we as a racial group would be further than where we are. But this is due to ignorance among our people. Our motto is intelligence over ignorance. What could change our status worldwide is a global black unity. The black grassroots is the only thing that can defeat our oppressors. They use a more guerrilla style in the forms of protesting and targeting boycotts. My message to my African family: identify those leaders who are selling you out and stop electing them. Start getting involved in your own local politics. That's my advice to you guys. Also, encourage your family members that's here in the United States, from your particular country. Let's say, for example, from Nigeria. Encourage Nigerians to work with me and Sister Renee, because they're right here in the United States, and that could be a win-win situation because they would actually know me and be working with me, and when we do be able to come over to the African continent, they would be able to help us with all the necessary paperwork in terms of trying to set up chapters. And also, we could be of help by, you send us videos, to my Facebook inbox, and I could promote that, what's going on over there in your country, so that way everybody can see what's going on, and try to put pressure on our elected officials here in America to try to intervene. So that's the good thing about this technology. We don't have to just be limited. And I am praying for my brothers and sisters in Nigeria that's standing up against this, the SARS protests. The same nonsense happening on the continent. Julius Malema explained it this way: you don't like him because he's from Zimbabwe. You don't like him because he is from Nigeria, but you're them and they are you. My African family. Don't you realize that non-black groups are benefiting off of us because we're not unified? The global financial elites are invested in keeping Africans and black people down worldwide. Your aim is to unify continental Africans with the diaspora. We need to work together and collaborate together if we are to survive as a group. If we lose Africa, we lose everything. Now we're going to go to a video about Haiti. Its current situation. The financial elites is still punishing Haiti for freeing itself. And the title of this video is called Exposing France's Extortion of Haiti.
Welcome to the African Diaspora News Channel. I am Wengizalala bringing you this report. Today I bring to you a report about the greatest heist in history, that is the French forcing Haiti to pay for their own freedom, basically for enslaving them. They had to pay them in today's money, billions. Let me read you the article that the African Report did and we'll come back. What France did to the Haitian people after the Haitian Revolution is a particularly notorious example of colonial theft. France instituted slavery on the island in the 17th century, but in the late 18th century, the enslaved population rebelled and eventually declared independence. Yet, somehow, in the 19th century, the thinking went that the former enslavers of the Haitian people needed to be compensated, rather than the other way around. Haiti officially declared its independence from France in 1804. In October 1806, the country was split into two. King Louis, who had helped overthrow Napoleon earlier that year, sent 3 commissioners to Haiti to assess the willingness of the country's rulers to surrender. They were under negotiation because the Haitian people did not want to become slaves again. On April 17, 1825, the French king suddenly changed his mind. He issued a decree stating France would recognize Haitian independence, but only at the price of 150 million francs, or 10 times the amount the U.S. had paid for the Louisiana territory. The sum was meant to compensate the French colonialists for their lost revenues from slavery. Baron de Macou, whom Charles X sent to deliver the ordinance, arrived in Haiti in July, accompanied by a squadron of 14 brigs of war carrying more than 500 cannons. Rejection of the ordinance almost certainly meant war. This was not diplomacy, it was extortion. With the threat of violence looming, on July 11, 1825, Boyer signed the fatal document, which stated that the present inhabitants of the French part of Saint-Dominique shall pay in 5 equal installments the sum of 150 million francs, destined to indemnify the former colonialists. Newspaper articles from the period revealed that the French king knew the Haitian government was hardly capable of making this payment, as the total was more than 10 times Haiti's annual budget. The rest of the world seemed to agree that the amount was absurd. One British journalist noted that the enormous price constituted a sum which few states in Europe could bear to sacrifice. They were forced to borrow 30 million francs from French banks. To make the first 2 payments, it was hardly a surprise to anyone when Haiti defaulted soon afterwards. Still, the new French king sent another expedition in 1838 with 12 warships to force the Haitian president's hand. The 1838 revision, inaccurately labeled Treaty of Friendship, reduced the outstanding amount owed to 60 million francs, but the Haitian government was once again ordered to take out crushing loans to pay the balance. Although the colonialists claimed that the indemnity would only cover 1/12 of the value of their lost properties, including the people they claimed as their slaves, the total amount of 19 million francs was actually 5 times France's annual budget. The Haitian people suffered because of the consequence of France's theft. The French government still has not paid or even talked about compensating Haiti for all the crimes they have committed. They've enslaved them. They've looted from them, and on top of that, they've cheated them out of their own money in the name of you got your freedom, so pay up. $150 million. It's in billions now in current day currency. And anybody who can think can see what happened here. It's obvious, the history speaks for itself, and there's evidence, there's newspapers, there's a contract they had to sign. They made the leader at that time of Haiti sign, and they stole from them. I agree with the saying of the greatest heist in history. They stole from them, not only from what they have, but they've also stole from their future because of that debt, because they had to borrow money from the French bank to pay them. It put them in a crisis where they cannot even come out of it. Even till now, it has followed them. The poverty line in Haiti is 59%. There are 59. That's really high. Do you know French poverty line? It's 14%, 1-4, and 59. Haitians, where they are right now, is directly related to France. They lied to them. Even when asking that money, when they say this will cover the cost, they were not even asking the actual cost, what it costs them. They gave a fake number that even France themselves did not lose that money. And they asked for that money and stole from these people. And now look at Haiti and look at France. Look at the difference between those two countries. Somehow France is living the life and Haiti still is paying for it. So what makes this worse is they not only stole from them, they stole their future from them. They stole the future of all the generations to come from that time till now, and that's really unfortunate. And they're not even acknowledging it, and they're not even trying to pay up. That is what is more frustrating. And Haiti, along with other countries that were enslaved by French or Germany or Belgium or British, they need to be compensated. Reparation is no joke. It is a must. It is something that needs to happen. The same way they thought, they believed that they deserved money from Haiti and all those countries that they stole from, looted from, enslaved and killed from, and they said, compensate me because I lost my slaves. Now is the time to say, pay up. All these countries need their reparation, need to get what they deserve. This is not asking for a handout alone. This is something that is theirs. Okay? So I don't think this should be up for discussion. It's a must. It needs to happen. They need to pay up. And all the things that they have stolen, including the artifacts that they have in their museums, they need to give back to the people and let the people do what they think is right with that money or with that artwork that they've stolen them. They have given back. Yeah, so what do you guys think about this topic? Do let us know down below. Do you think French needs to pay up? And if so, how much do you think is right for all the things that they put them through? You let us know down below. I am Wendy Zalala bringing you this report.
Alright, now the next video is talking about the SARS protests against road cops in Nigeria. This is coming from Dr. Mumbi, and so we're going to play that right now.
Welcome, beloved, to the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How are you doing? How's everything going? I'm reporting live and direct from the foothills of Mount Zion, just sending our deepest condolences, our prayers, our, message of solidarity and support to our Nigerian revolutionaries, our Nigerian brothers and sisters, as they go through what seems to be one of the darkest nights. They're already calling it Black Tuesday for what happened yesterday, the 20th of October. 2010, 2020. I told you these guys operate on numbers, and I'm sure you've heard about the Lekki Massacre by now. It's trending globally. It was trending top 2 in the divided states. It's trending across Africa. Here in Kenya, Nigeria and police brutality, etc., is like the top five, and we totally stand in solidarity. So what happened is that Nigerian security forces have allegedly shot dead demonstrators protesting against police brutality in Lagos, and this is according to several witnesses. There's videos all over social media, all over Twitter, etc., showing the demonstrators. There was a woman standing on top of a car, and she was telling her fellow protesters it was a peaceful demonstration. She was telling her fellow protesters, sit down, calm down, because they were kind of agitated. This was yesterday evening, calm down. There's no way the police would open fire on us, as we're peacefully demonstrating. And then the next thing, you literally see the military stepping forward and gunning down, human beings like that, cattle or goats or something. It's totally insane. And this has triggered something. And I really believe Nigeria has reached the point of no return. Are we witnessing the Africa Spring? Definitely. And the thing is, 4 witnesses actually told Reuters news agency that soldiers fired at the protesters who had gathered in the Lekki district of Nigeria's largest city, Lagos, in defiance of an indefinite curfew imposed hours earlier by the authorities. And what's happening is Buhari's government is trying to, put a lid on these massive #EndSARS demonstrations that threaten to topple his government, etc., etc. And then a couple of days ago, we saw the government of, the military of Nigeria saying that they were going to be conducting a nationwide exercise all of a sudden, and it was not related to the protesters. And then now this happens. Although the Nigerian military, they are on Twitter. They actually released a statement where they said, it's all fake news. They were not involved. No soldiers were at the scene, etc., etc. And they say, because there was some headlines that were saying, Nigerian army seizes corpses of peaceful EndSARS protesters killed by security operatives. It's not clear how many died or what exactly is going on, but are we witnessing the beginning of the Africa Spring, the Africa revival, the Africa revolution? Because it will be the youth. A lot of people have spoken out. I think the Nicki Minaj's of this world also said that, the EndSARS, the youth of Nigeria are being heard loud and clear. The EFF came out in solidarity. I'll definitely do a separate show on that. And we're just, it's now or never. The revolution is here. And the thing is, someone had even written, because I did a show where I talked about how, they're going to try and make this a false flag to bring in the military. And a lot of the youth contacted me and said, no, it's actually the youth that are involved. It's a genuine movement. They have their requests. They have their demands. But now we see this. And the thing is, allegedly, the EndSARS movement, they'd come up with their list of demands. Allegedly, the government had, in word, verbally accepted them. So they were just continuing to protest to make sure that it was implemented. And then this happens. And this is it's just really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. Of course, it's all over. And the thing is, hundreds of people were at the site at the time of the shooting, and, which witnesses said took place around 7 p.m. local time. One Alfred Omonugo, a security officer, he said, they started firing ammunition towards the crowd. They were firing into the crowd. I saw the bullet hit 1 or 2 people. And seriously, beloveds, you have to recognize the military, the police, all these are different spirits. They worship certain entities that require blood. And Amnesty International, they even reported, they said, Amnesty International has received credible but disturbing evidence of excessive use of force occasioning deaths of protesters at Lekki Tollgate in Lagos, while we continue to investigate the killings. They were advising Nigerian authorities and international law, security forces, many others to just adhere to the international conventions that they are a part of, which says you can't open fire on, peaceful protesters. So we'll definitely have to see. Apparently, there's a blackout of this story in Nigeria itself. The Senate has come out and demanded that Buhari give some kind of statement. This story is definitely still unfolding, but we stand in full solidarity with our Nigerian brothers and sisters at such a time as this. May the Most High, the God of Africa, may His will prevail for your nation and for this continent. May this really be, the start of a total revolution, revival, reformation, and restoration of, our people. And any plans to kind of derail the process, hijack the process for foreign entities, etc., etc., may they be exposed and totally scattered, and battered. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you have any further information on the story, please leave it in the comments below. I'll find you there. Until next time,
real issues, real current issues that's going on right now on the African continent. Again, I'm just praying for peace and stability. Again, those same Nigerian military people, they wouldn't dare do that to those Europeans that's over there. That's the only thing I don't really like. They always want to hurt our own. Now, my next video is about foreign military bases in Africa. Now, I actually talked about this I would say about maybe a few months ago. But this is coming from Dr. Mumba. And so I want to hear her perspective about what's going on. Hers is actually geared toward East Africa. So let's check that out.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Hello and welcome to the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How are you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. We want to thank everyone that supports this channel on the on Patreon, and everyone who gives us donations through PayPal. There's a mega international narrative war going on, and so your support really enables us to continue to bring the awakening news to our global Black family, because Africa is awakening, and there is absolutely nothing that can stop this. But there is so much for us to redo, repair, and fix that it's really going to require like a mammoth kind of movement. But I believe that we, as the generation of this time, are fully equipped for that. But those are definitely stories for other days. There's a report that emerged a couple of months ago that showed that foreign military bases are actually a threat to East Africa. And what they showed is that Western nations, China, and emerging military powers such as India and Turkey were all projecting their military might throughout East Africa. And, the growing array of foreign military deployments has so far served, they come in saying they're going to help fight piracy, keep the international waters safe, they're going to train our people. And, a lot of these, the report called these a lot of benign initiatives that don't really help the people, but are more to give access to these foreign military powers. And so, some said they supported peace operations and provided humanitarian relief. And a lot of Africans were asking that why do these situations continually perpetuate themselves instead of getting better? An intervention is supposed to make you better, right? Like you go to the doctor to heal, not to perpetually be put on medicine for the rest of your life. Anyway, that's what they do. But, some of these foreign forces were actually using military bases in the region in order to counter perceived threats from one another. And that's what this report from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute called SIPRI said. And they said one of the problems is, and we've seen it, the divided states came heavily into Africa. China also opened the biggest base in Djibouti. And then surprisingly, even India and Japan for example, are actually deploying military units in East Africa, partly in order to express their unease over China's projection of force into the Indian Ocean and the Horn of Africa. But what does this mean for Africa itself? Of course, on this channel, so many of you, we've debated this for the last several years, where a lot of people say, the final frontier, the last battlefront will be Africa. We cancel that, but with all these foreign military bases on the continent, because they're saying the divided states alone maintains the largest foreign military presence in East Africa. Allegedly, the U.S. operates out of bases in Kenya, Somalia, as well as Djibouti, and has allegedly 4,000 American troops stationed here. And then now we saw Turkey, actually, the Turkish military have opened a massive military training kind of unit, in South Sudan and on an island in South Sudan. But the reason they've done that is to counter the moves that are being made in the Middle East. So it's never about us. But because we have compromised leaders who get into very compromised agreements with different foreign powers, it has become extremely hard for, because once they come in, it gets very, very hard to see them leave. And even though China's reputation has taken like a beating internationally, so a lot of the things that they were exposed, there was actually an expose, which China has denied, where they said that China was actually getting ready to build 4 military bases, one in Kenya, but Kenyans were not having it across the African continent. We saw AFRICOM is moving. AFRICOM is the major, Africa Command for the U.S. Army is moving from, from Germany, but they actually might have to go to South Carolina because no African country wants to host them. But why do we get into these military agreements that don't end up really helping our people? I mean, here in Kenya, there was a lot of controversy when President Uhuru Kenyatta wanted to close down,
Okay, we have another video coming up about Africans in Saudi Arabia, and every African on the continent ought to be outraged about this video. Saudi Arabia is one of the wealthiest countries on earth, yet it's keeping hundreds, if not thousands, of African immigrants locked in hideous conditions as part of a drive to stop the spread of COVID-19. And I think that's just a front. They just, my goodness, boy, if I was on the African continent. But anyway, I would just say, especially people that's in Ethiopia, if you have Arabs that's in your country, you ought to round those people up and treat them the same way that they're treating, your fellow man or woman that's over there in Saudi Arabia. Put them in those type of camps that they were just treat them the same way that they're treating your brothers and sisters that's in their country. This is just ridiculous. But here's the video.
These images show the conditions of Ethiopian women in a detention center near Al-Daya, Saudi Arabia. The mesh roof allows rainwater in, flooding the prison up to the women's ankles. This is just one of the prisons and detention centers where Saudi Arabia has been holding the migrants for days, weeks, and even months. In a detention center in Jizan, images from the men's facility depict hundreds of people being held in severely overcrowded and unsanitary conditions. trash and excrement at every step. They are forced to sleep in hot, unair-conditioned rooms, tightly packed together, with limited access to water to wash. They were among the thousands of Ethiopian migrants that Houthi forces forcibly removed from territory under their control in northern Yemen in April, accusing them of spreading the coronavirus. Human Rights Watch got first-hand accounts from migrants in Algar, a settlement in Saada Governorate, who witnessed people being shot at as they were being forcibly removed from their shelters at gunpoint by the Houthi forces and taken to the border with Saudi Arabia. Saudi authorities opened fire, killing scores of migrants before allowing hundreds of Ethiopians to enter the country. They are now arbitrarily detaining them in facilities in Jizan province. Detainees are given little food. Some receive just 3 pieces of bread and a bottle of water a day. Photo evidence supports their accounts that many are developing skin problems due to the unsanitary conditions. Multiple men said their pleas for medical attention and better conditions are repeatedly denied and answered with beatings from the guards. Hundreds of Ethiopian migrants remain arbitrarily imprisoned, their future uncertain. Houthi authorities and the Saudi government should impartially investigate the killing of Ethiopian migrants at Algar and appropriately punish those responsible. Saudi authorities should urgently arrange for the safe return of those that remain in detention. They should investigate allegations of abuse and prosecute those responsible.
Did you like our video or not?
Alright, now in contrast, the financial elites are causing problems in Black America. Recently, the rapper Ice Cube have been making a lot of people very unhappy because of what he said about American politics. He said, we're not going to be politically monogamous. As Black people, we happen to be a group, and a group don't have friends. Groups have interests. The black cable bootlegs are supposed to be the black faces cheering white interests. The usual suspects, the roly-poly Martins, and the same Negroes who are utterly dependent on the white media for their daily bread. These are the reliable Negroes who white supremacy have in their pockets. A majority of Black people agree with Ice Cube, especially the Black grassroots. When you see MSNBC headlines, Ice Cube comes under fire for contributing to Trump's plan. He's not coming under fire from the majority of Black people. These are the wannabe Black elites trying to con us into thinking that they represent Black America. So I'm not going to play that full video about the interview with Ice Cube on Roland Martin's show, but I am going to play a little clip, and then this would be the last video because I just want to try to get people to call in and for us to go ahead and talk about these issues. And really, the whole purpose of me doing this is to get people to understand we have to work together as Black people. You know what I'm saying? This is why other racial groups are just treating us like second-class citizens worldwide. We got to break through this. Here in America, it's called a Willie Lynch mentality. On the African continent, it's called a colonized mindset. They're both the same thing, and Black people, we have to deal with how to break that curse, that mentality. That's all I want to do through this organization. I'm trying to move from behind the computer.
Your Ice Cube is facing backlash after one of Trump's senior advisors revealed he is working with the administration. Now, Ice Cube tried to clear the air, saying he reached out to both candidates about his plans for Black America, and the Trump campaign was just the first to respond.
The Trump campaign came to me and asked me to explain to them some of the contract with Black America. That's what I did. I'm not playing no more of these games, these political games. We're not part of the team. We have very raw problems, especially the wealth gap in this country when it comes to Black Americans. So I'm going to whoever's in power, and I'm going to speak to them about our problems. Specifically, I'm not going there talking about minorities. I'm not going there talking about people of color or diversity or none of that stuff. I'm going there for Black Americans, the ones who are the descendants of slaves.
Joining me now is the host and managing editor of the digital show, Roland Martin Unfiltered. Roland Martin, thank you for being here. Look, we played that clip with Chris Cuomo. I know that you also sat down with Ice Cube. Give me your reaction when you heard about his partnership with the Trump campaign and the backlash. Do you think it was justified?
Well, first of all, I sat down with Ice Cube before Chris Cuomo. I had Ice Cube on my show a month and a half ago. Then I had him on the show Thursday with a 40-minute conversation. And we went through all these various issues. First of all, so he made it clear he's not working with the campaign. He did connect with the Biden campaign. And what he said to me was that they said, look, we agree with 85% of what you're saying. We'll connect with you after the election. Why? The Biden-Harris folks are saying, we're not the ones who are in power. And so Ice Cube, in my interview with him, he said that the Trump folks committed to $500 billion in their so-called platinum plan. Alan, that's total BS. I went through the entire plan. This is a 2-page plan. So let's understand. Platinum plan is 2 pages. Lift Every Voice Biden Black America plan is 22 pages. And so the reality is that I said to Ice Cube, look, what they committed to, there's no commitment. There's nothing substantive behind it. And so I totally understand his point in terms of, yes, when you are in power, then African-American institutions making demand of you. I've said that for years as well. Most African-Americans living in the South are living under Republican legislatures. We understand that. The question is, can you trust the folks who are doing it? Let's just be real. The Trump folks, all they wanted was Ice Cube's stamp of approval of saying he actually contributed to their platinum plan. They wanted the PR hit. They got the PR hit, and that's what they wanted.
So, Roland, when you point out with him, a 2-page plan versus a 22-page plan, what's his reaction to that?
Well, what he said was, look, both don't go far enough, which is true. But here's what I also said to him when he was on the last month. I said, Q, and we text today, we texting before he was on and after. I said, you also got to have an infrastructure in place to then carry out what it is you want. So here's the deal. Let's say Biden-Harris wins. Okay, then we have to, as A. Philip Randolph, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt told A. Philip Randolph, make me do it. Philip, we have to make them do it, which means you have to have an infrastructure in place of supporters. So one of the things that I said to him, I brought on Alicia Garza with Black Pictures Lab, where they put together a Black Census project where they surveyed 30,000 African Americans of what they wanted. I said, Q, you should be partnering with her, partnering with Tamika Mallory, Until Freedom, New York Justice League, TEPCO, Million Hoodies March. There are a number of entities out here that have infrastructure, policy people, lobbyists to get it. So again, Ice Cube alone as a rapper actor making demands will not achieve it unless you have infrastructure to push the process through.
Absolutely. You got to roll up your sleeves and actually get the work done. So look, he said that he started all this. He wanted to see a greater emphasis on Black Americans, not just on, people of color or minorities. Right. How about either campaign? Do you think either one has spent enough time speaking directly to Black voters and addressing their concerns?
When you're putting out a minstrel show like Diamond and Silk, and you're putting out clueless folks like Candace Owens, and even that fool down in Georgia, Representative Vernon Jones, you're not serious about it. They won't come talk to Black people. Donald Trump has not spoken to any major Black organization. He only talked to African Americans who support him. He is not serious. The White House made it perfectly clear. Their only goal is to attract 20% of Black men. That's why they quickly want to meet with Ice Cube. That's why they're talking to Kanye West. That's why they're talking to other people. Now, the Biden campaign, they've had more outreach towards African Americans, but I've made it clear to them, you got to be doing more as well. You're looking at polling data showing the black male support that Trump is getting and certain candidates are getting in Michigan and North Carolina. You got to do more. I said, look, black people, Democrats cannot win without black people. So what you must do is you must court them. You must drive money to black media outlets. You must approach them to do more, and that's how you actually do it. But you got to push them to do it.
But let me ask you, based on everything you're saying, why is it that the Trump campaign is doubling its support with black men over black women? And we should note that typically black women are the ones who will actually go to the polls, they'll stand in line, not the black men don't, but women do it in a far greater number. So how is it that Trump's picking up the black male vote?
Because it's not just Donald Trump. In 2012, there's a 9-point gap between black men and black women for Obama Romney. There was a 13-point gap between black men and black women for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And so the Trump people think they can push it to 20%. This is a Democratic Party issue because you have a lot of black men out there. When I say a lot, I'm talking about the percentages here because the vast majority of black men are supportive of these policies. But these are black men who are disaffected. These are black men who say they believe that Democrats are too supportive of immigration efforts. Look, when Donald Trump talks about building a wall, there's 15 to 20% of black men that appeals to them. Also, when he's talking about economic policies. And so, I say to Democrats back in 2012, you got a problem. You started in 2016. Tom Moran is aware of the problem as well. But what they have to do is they have to be serious about saying, wait a minute, we've got to compete after every vote. And this is very simple. If Democrats keep going after disaffected white women who vote for Republicans, well, you better go to the disaffected black men as well, which means listening to them. Terrence Woodbury is a great pollster who's been doing focus groups on this. Cordell Belcher, another African-American pollster who's been doing this. Ron Lester as well. I say to the Democratic Party, listen to your black pollsters, your black political consultants, your African-Americans who understand these issues. And the part of the problem is that too many campaigns, including Democrats, have white advisors running campaigns who are not empowering and listening to African-American political experts. That's where you start.
Give me a quick assessment on what you were talking about, your home state of Texas with the record number of early votes. I mean, it really got kind of emotional for you, right? As a matter of fact, let's show the viewers your Instagram page. Here it is, everyone. You were crying there, my friend. What did that mean for you?
Well, when I go vote, I listen to freedom songs. I listen to Woke Up This Morning by John Legend, Glory by Common and John Legend. That was a Trey Songz song called 2020 Riots, How Many Times? And so it's a powerful song. And it also, and look, it hit me. I was not expecting that, literally. I'm serious. Because, and I saw, it was 50 degrees in Dallas. These folks were in line the day before, an old black woman in a beat-up car with a handicap sticker. I was walking around the church parking lot, and she said, baby, is this where the vote taking place tomorrow? I said, ma'am, yes it is. She said, so where do we go? She was doing her advance work for the next day. I thought about black people who literally couldn't vote. I thought about black women who couldn't get the right to vote till the 65 Voting Rights Act. Then I thought about every effort Republicans have been doing to stop the vote. Allen West, Republican Party in Texas, sued against curbside and drive-up voting. Greg Abbott, the governor, one mail drop box in the whole county. And black people have actually shown America what democracy really is, and that's the whole point. And so when you have Republicans who have voter suppression tactics in every state in this country, black folks in 2020 are saying, y'all can keep doing the same stuff that Democrats, Southern Dixiecrats did during Jim Crow, and we're going to still turn out, we're going to stand in line, we're going to vote by mail, and that's why those tears were there, because our ancestors died for it, and damn it, our folks today said, we're going to use the power of the ballot.
Amen to that, Roland Martin. I see why you had the tears, and bless you for them. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll see you again soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Ice Cube's plan for Black America is similar to my plan that I put forth in my revised book, Great Minds Think Alike. Roland Martin interviewed Ice Cube. Ice Cube was on point. He was clear. He was on enemy's territory. Many people on the left was attacking Ice Cube because he shared his contract with the with Black America with both political parties. He went on a Black grassroots channel to help get his plan off the ground. The Trump camp said they may implement some of his ideas in their plan. The Joe Biden camp told Ice Cube they would look over his plan after the elections. The Democrats don't view black people as a serious group who they should negotiate with. They feel that they own the black vote. Black people should not be ashamed to tell these political candidates our demands. Again, I think Ice Cube did a great job. The Trump administration tweeted about Ice Cube plan, and now everybody wants to be part of it. His contract have been out there 3 months. His plan has tangibles that was well constructed. Some of our own people are jealous. They are going to try to destroy his ideas because they don't want him to get the credit. I did not like the fact that Roland Martin brought on a person who had a LGBT agenda into our conversation. His guests asked Ice Cube his thoughts about Black Lives Matter being a terrorist organization. This is what caused division. I became disgusted with that woman. I noticed a lot of bait and switch. This is why we keep getting distracted into other topics like gender, sexuality, and immigration. There is a reason why white supremacists select children of immigrants. It's because they are going to promote someone else's agenda. Roland's job is to deflect our attention away from black empowerment, to discuss non-black issues. Over here, we're laser focused. Ice Cube has been standing firm. That's what we need to see. He said, I'm here to discuss what we need to do for adults, American descendants of slaves, and anyone who wants to work with me, I'll work with them. People from the Joe Biden camp don't want Ice Cube to resonate with people who believe that black people should be getting something for their vote. When you ask the question, what did Joe Biden do to win the black vote? They have no comment. We have a court system which is ignoring our constitutional rights, even though it's a bunch of Democrats, district attorneys, and attorney generals. The Congressional Black Caucus had decades to do something. We're supposed to demand things to those who are in power. We have gone beyond just saying Black Lives Matter. We're not leaving this in the hands of black athletes, black celebrities, or entertainers. The grassroots community activist movement has been pushing a similar message for over 2 decades, pushing the exact agenda. This is how you get things popping, by being uncompromised. In other words, of Frederick Douglass, power is never considered anything without a demand. My goal is not to be a famous, but my goal is to get progress for my people in America, Africa, and throughout the African diaspora. Roland Martin is with the opposition. Everything Ice Cube is campaigning for, Roland Martin is against. The Democrats' goal is to do nothing for black people, and Roland Martin is there to try to get Ice Cube not to demand anything. According to Roland Martin, the Democrats are already offering those things which Ice Cube has mentioned in his plan. He also mentioned the Congressional Black Caucus is trying to do something. Career politicians will tell you that it's not legal to do something for one group of people. That's a bald-faced lie. The Equality Act is to protect the LGBT community. They have a hotline for Asian Americans facing discrimination. They do things specifically for Jews and Native Americans. It's only when we show up, then these career politicians tell us it's unconstitutional. In order for us to benefit from this system, we have to unite, pull our resources together, and practice group economics. I can't dispute, they can't dispute the fact that Ice Cube has said, Ice Cube didn't say vote for Trump. What he said was, our vote is up for sale. The only thing I'm seeing from these extreme feminists is slander. He is raising legitimate questions. We should not have any allegiance to one political party. Our vote is to the highest bidder. I respect Black Lives Matter for police reform. Ice Cube pushing his initiative on his own and got it popping. Black Lives Matter could have been working with him when he was reaching out to others. They want to reach out to him now because he got some action and the needle is now moving. I hold my show every Thursday night, asking people on my friends list and people in my social groups to come on the show and talk with the people. The only reason it's taken me so doggone long is because there's not enough people who are doing their part. I'm just one black man with a plan and a vision. It takes a team to make a dream work. Again, it takes a team to make a dream work. People don't want to work with you until you go viral. The whole interview was about trying to put Ice Cube in an awkward position and to push the Biden Harris agenda. You can't change 47 years of Joe Biden's record. Truth be told, it sucks. Joe Biden created the 1994 crime bill, which gave rise to mass incarceration of black people. You can't change Kamala Harris' aggressive locking up single black mothers in California. She refused to prosecute road cops that killed black people. These are Democrats that have done this. Barack Obama was president for 8 years. He did not do anything specifically for black people. He did not do anything about the murder of Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, Oscar Grant, and Freddie Gray. All of this happened on his watch. Who was the vice president at that time? That's right, Joe Biden. Both political parties have the exact same policy when it comes to black people. If you listen to the whole interview, you would notice that Woodward said Joe Biden is putting together a voter coalition that can get him into the White House without black votes. They have no problem with the idea that black people are being politically irrelevant. Their allegiance is to the white political bigwigs of the Democratic Party. This is what's supposed to be the so-called black experts attacking Ice Cube. We are cynical because we have two political parties, Democrats and Republicans, who have used and abused us for far too long. We also have a bunch of bought and paid for bootlicks who have been sent among us by those same political parties to cause confusion within our internal politics. These are the left-wing white supremacists, incompetent operative class. We're here to demand tangibles that our people need, while white supremacists has told those bootlicks puppets to distract us, to keep us from focusing on our demands. The white media can give them a platform, but they can't give them credibility. Gracam is for the soil or the black masses. Black people are speaking our own minds and interests. It's part of our political discussion, what we've been pushing for 2 decades. BA, Black Agenda. B1, putting our interests first. We're going to take the lead of the political discourse within the African American community. Our job in the black media is to expose the lies and tell the people who you are and why you're promoting these falsehoods. The black bootlick's job is to control black people by keeping us on the hamster wheel. Gracam's job is to get our people off the hamster wheel. Gracam will hold you accountable. You can't just tell lies and walk away because we're here to fact check you. We're also going to take the lead in educating our people locally, nationally, and internationally. You see, the black mouthpiece on cable TV are not happy. We don't take cues from the DNC hierarchy. We're putting forward our own interests in our own term. The threat of black empowerment is rising. I am done with my presentation. The virtual lines are now open for Q&A side B. I will wait around for about 15 minutes. If I don't get any callers, then I will conclude this podcast for tonight. Thank you all for listening. And again, all I'm asking everyone to do is to please share my podcast, leave a comment, good or bad, and please try to purchase my ebook on Amazon.com. You can find it on my YouTube channel. You can also find it on my on the transcript. And I'm going to post that again on my Facebook wall, as well as in my group with the same name as this podcast. And if you still can't find it, just send me your email address to my Facebook inbox, and I would send you the transcript, so that way you have access to all of my information. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you next time.